Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Rose and today I have 3 Dollar Tree fall inspired DIYs for you. Let's get into this video. For this first project, the items that you're going to need are these 2 tea light candle holders. They had a couple different styles. These are just the 2 that I chose. And then you're also going to need 3 of the tapered candle holders, and we're going to glue them all together. So you're going to need your E6000 and your hot glue. So first thing you want to do is remove all of your stickers and tags, and then we are going to do 2 of the holders on top of each other and then 1 of the holders by itself. So the 2 that we do on top of each other, the tea light is going to sit just inside of the base of the holder, and then the single one is going to sit a little bit shorter so that they're tiered, and that is what I chose to do. So I did E6000 and hot glue just so that I could get a nice strong hold. I wouldn't have to worry about these coming apart. And then for the instant hold, I put the hot glue kind of right with the E6000. I don't mix the 2, like I kind of blot them on next to each other, if that makes sense. So I think they turned out great. I hope you guys like the finished product as much as I do. Project number 2. So for the second project, the items that you are going to need are some chalk paint. So the colors I've chosen are Crimson Red by Waverly, the ink black chalk paint, and the Harvest Orange in Apple Barrel, and then also a white chalk paint, or I just chose this ivory color. You're going to need paintbrushes for every single one of your colors. And then you're also going to need this truck from the Dollar Tree. I love this truck. And then I've got 3 of these signs here. I do end up using a 4th one. So you will need 4 of these little box signs. And we're going to put the truck on there. And you're also going to need a beauty blender. The first thing you want to do is assemble those boxes. So I'm just taking some hot glue and putting a nice generous amount, squeezing them together, and then I'm just using some of these Dollar Tree clips that I got just to kind of hold it until it's well bonded and together. So after we're done gluing that, I'm setting that aside to go ahead and dry, and I am painting my truck. So the first color, of course, I wanted a red truck. Now you can paint your truck any color you want. Of course, you know, it's your project. So if you like blues, then do blues, greens, yellows, whatever color is your fancy. Paint it whatever color you want. I chose red, so I did the crimson red. And then as you can see, I left the spot right where the hole was by where the hanger was. I want to fill that in with some wood putty, which I'm going to do in a moment. But I was just so excited to get into this truck and actually paint it and do something with it that I totally missed that step to begin with. So, whoops. Okay, so the next thing we're going to paint are the tires, and of course I use the black chalk paint. which is by Waverly. It's called Ink, but you can use any color black that you want. It doesn't really matter. I just find that the chalk paint does give you better coverage and you need less coats. So that's why I do chalk paint instead of like acrylic on everything. But I use the Waverly Ink chalk paint for the tires, and then after I paint those, then I kind of skip up to the pumpkins because I love fall so much. Like, you guys don't even know. Actually, if you are a fan of fall, then you're right up there with me. We all know. But anyway, so I got so excited. I'm like, you know what? I just want to paint the pumpkins. Heck on the truck. I'm past the truck. I want to paint the pumpkins. So after I finished the tires, I needed those to dry. I went up, I took the Harvest Orange by the Apple Barrel, and I painted my pumpkins. I only needed one coat for these. I didn't want them to be like too thick as far as the color is concerned. Like, I'm okay with the wood grain coming through the pumpkins. So just a nice even coat on the pumpkins, and I love how that turned out. Okay, so I have the truck all painted, and now I have like this crate that goes around the top of the truck. I didn't want to paint it red. So what I chose to do was take the Antique Wax by Waverly, which is this brown color, and I used that for the box that goes around the truck. So I take the Beauty Blender, I lightly tap on the color, and then I take the bottom of the Beauty Blender and I spread that out so that it's a nice thin coat. It's not too thick, so you can really see the wood grain come through the brown on this. And I don't know, but I just feel like this totally took that truck and pushed it over the edge as far as like detail and everything went. I really love how this color combo turned out. I hope you guys really do too. While I had that Antique Wax Brown out on my Beauty Blender, I decided to distress the truck with this color. So I was kind of thinking it was going to look kind of rusty, like an old rusted truck. So I took very light amounts and I just put it like around the rims, around the fenders, like anywhere where you would think like there would be rust on a truck. Um, I just kind of like tapped the Beauty Blender. I thought the hubcaps were a little bit too kind of like shiny new, like there was nothing going on with those. So I took the brown and I hit it on the hubcaps too. So this way here they weren't like perfect. I didn't want a perfect truck. I wanted it to look imperfect. So that's what I went with. So the brown, I guess you could also do this with black if you wanted to, but I thought the brown gave a nice subtle color to the other colors on this truck. Okay, so now that the truck's all done, which let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Would you have done kind of like the same thing I did with the paints? Would you have changed something as far as like the stressing? I mean, I know if you're going to change the color of the truck, like that makes sense, but would you have done this truck any other way to help it pop? Let me know. Okay, so now we're going to move on to the box. So I took the white chalk paint and put a generous amount over all of my boxes. On the sides of these boxes, they had like a wood grain on the side. I didn't want the white paint to like cover everything. I just wanted the top of the boards to be covered. So I went and took like a baby wipe or any kind of wet wipe, whatever you have. Um, I just took that around all of the edges and got off any paint that may have dropped down over the edges and wiped it up. I then went in with the black ink chalk paint and I wanted those lines where the boards meet up, I wanted them to be more prominent so it kind of looks like shiplap almost. Um, and I just put the black line pretty roughly down in those creases. And then here's me adding that fourth board because when I put the truck up to it, the truck was as big as 3 boards. So, fourth board, getting it all done. And I'm taking my hot gun and heating up the paint so that it dries quicker because the 3 were done and the fourth one's still wet and it was just a mess. So anyway, taking the black ink, going down all those creases, making sure that it's all nice and dry before you put your truck on top. And yes, so I put my truck on, made sure that it was centered, and all I did was stick him down was I just took the hot glue, generous amounts again, and put that all over the back of the truck and stuck him down really, really well. Okay, so now I'm taking some ribbon from the Dollar Tree that has pumpkins on it, making a cute bow. I'm taking some of this berry garland, taking some of that off, making curly cues with it, which I just wrapped around my finger to be the tails of my bow. And then I'm taking a felt flower and putting that in the center of the bow just to give it a nice complete look. From there, I thought my truck needed something else. It just looked kind of plain. So I took one of these thankful signs from the Dollar Tree and I just glued that on top of the truck. And this is my finished product. I love how this turned out. And now the last project, project 3. For this project, what you're going to need is one of these large pumpkins from the Dollar Tree, an X-Acto knife or something to cut the top of the pumpkin off with, your hot glue gun. You're going to need some floral picks from the Dollar Tree. I just have some sunflowers and mums. I also have these little scarecrow heads. I chose to also add in some pumpkins later, which you'll see. And you're also going to need one of those foam blocks for all of your floral to punch into. So that's the items that we're going to need. To start off cutting my pumpkin, I go ahead and heat up the X-Acto blade just so that it inserts into the pumpkin nice and smoothly the first time. And then I chose to do like a scalloped edge for whatever reason. I wanted to be fancy, I guess. You can cut the top of your pumpkin however you want, but the inside of this pumpkin is hollow, and I absolutely love that. I got the inspiration of this project from a photo I seen, which I will insert for you here. And I decided to recreate this. So this original picture that I seen of this pumpkin with all of this floral was $40, and I spent a total of maybe $10 for this. So Yeah. Once you get the top of your pumpkin out, then you want to put in your foam block for your floral arrangement to go into. So I just took one of these green foam blocks and I hot glued it down. I know that's really not going to hold because you have styrofoam going on top of styrofoam, and hot glue just does not mix well. So, but I didn't have anything else, so that's what I chose to use. And then from there, I took all of the floral picks and I cut them off of the main stems. And then I also took a little bit of paint because you'll see why I do this. But basically, I take some orange paint to paint around the sides of that pumpkin top because I'm actually going to stick that into the side of the pumpkin as an accent piece, just like the picture was. So I paint it orange. And actually it's the Harvest Orange by Apple Barrel. It turned out to be almost like the perfect color. Arranging your flowers, for me, what I do is I start with tall, put my tall flower in first to see the height that I want, and then I fill in around and then build up, going up to the tall. That might be totally wrong. I've never done floral arrangements. Not really sure how you're supposed to do them, if there's a specific way. That's how I do it. Turns out pretty well for me. So, and then I just take the mums and the sunflowers and I just put them all around this pumpkin everywhere, fill up space. I don't add any other florals into it. I think just these main colors are good, but you can use whatever colors you want if you want to do white, or you could even paint your pumpkin white. Actually, thinking about that, that would have been a good idea, but I didn't. Mine is just orange and with these floral picks in it, and I really do like how this one turned out. Once I had all the floral where I wanted it, I took one of these little scarecrow heads and I pushed him down into the center, top center, I guess we could say. I mean, I guess you could put him anywhere you want. I just chose for him to be like the main topper, the main height of my floral arrangement, and then just adjusted the flowers around him so that if he pushed down on anything, they were still up. So here are the pumpkins that I decided to add later. I got these from like my local supermarket in their floral section, but they're like these, they're not even burlap. I don't know how you could describe these pumpkins. They're like burlap with like twigs. I don't know. But I really like the look of these and I totally forgot that I had them. So I put 3 of them in there. That's how much came in the bundle. And I just arranged those to kind of break up the color. I love the colors of fall, but in such a tiny little piece, I felt like there was just way too much oranges and reds going on and yellows that I needed some other color. Um, so these pumpkins were just a nice brown neutral color and it helped break up the colors of this project. And I think adding those definitely helped the appearance of the overall look of this. I really like how this turned out. So here I am just fluffing up those flowers and making sure that I like the overall look. And here are all 3 projects staged for you guys all together on my table. I love how they all turned out. They look fantastic together. I have to say, I'm so proud of myself. I hope you guys like these as well. Let me know which one is your favorite down in the comments. And also, if you really like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't done so, please hit that subscribe button and become part of my little group of followers. I'd love to have you. And I hope you really enjoyed. Have a great day and happy fall.